Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, obviously it's been a while since my last devlog. I've mostly been putting off working on the game because I kind of wrote myself into a corner with my inventory script. I had a really nasty bug that for a while I couldn't figure out how to fix, and since I'm a solo developer, I didn't exactly have anyone to go to help find a solution. So as a result of my frustration, I put the game on hold till just recently. So then, what have I been up to since I started back on the game? Well, quite a lot actually. First off, I'm happy to say I was able to fix the bug I had with my inventory. I actually managed to fix it on the first day back, although it did literally take the entire day. After that was out of the way, I finally got started on player movement. First thing I had to do was make sure the player character and all their items, including their spell effects, would mirror properly when moving in either direction. And here's what it looks like. Next, I added a ton of new art for the game. Firstly, and I know it's pretty minor, but I updated the icon art for the equipable item slots in the inventory. After that, I drew up a bunch of item ideas on paper, then threw them into Photoshop to give them some color. Overall, I added 31 new items, 4 new helmets, 3 new daggers, 6 new one-handed weapons, 7 new two-handed weapons, 5 new shields, as well as 1 offhand item, and finally 5 new trinkets. I then went ahead and made icons for them all, bringing the total number of equipable items to 87. Still not much, but I think it's starting to feel a little bit more respectable. From there, I went on to make a bunch of environment textures for the terrain and for some of my building models. I'm finding I'm having a hard time maintaining consistency with the simplified art style I've gone with in some of my textures. I've noticed I'm constantly finding myself wanting to add more details and trying to make them look more professional, but I found the better I make them look, the more I take away from the comic-y Darkest Dungeon art style I started with. In any case, you might find that some of them look a little bit out of place. Alright, so, one last thing before I get into the game. I know this is pretty minor, but even though it's not a big deal, I thought it added a lot to the overall look of the game. So I got the idea to Photoshop a bunch of cloud photos together and see what they'd look like if I slapped them onto an object in game and made them rotate. Well, turns out it looks pretty good, I think. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's see what it all looks like in game. As you can see, it looks quite a bit different from the last time I posted a video. And I've got to be honest here, I'm genuinely really liking how it looks so far. Like I said earlier, I've gone a little overboard with the details in some of my textures, but overall, this is very much the aesthetic I was envisioning when I first started brainstorming the game. Alright, so, it wasn't just all art that I've added to the game. In my last devlog, the only way I was able to add items to the inventory was by instantiating a loot bag, and obviously I needed a faster way for testing items. So I set up a store window, which for now contains every item in the game as I add them. This is mainly only for testing, but I expect that most of the code will be used in the final game. The only real major difference being, NPCs will have far fewer items to sell, and their item lists will be determined by the type of vendor NPC you're trading with. Here, I also added the ability to zoom with your mouse wheel. This was partly so you can change your view range to whatever feels better while playing. But also, and to be honest, mainly, so you can get a better look at your character and see your gear up close. Alright, so way over here, I've got a stand-in for an enemy NPC. There isn't any combat in game yet, but you can see when I mouse over him, the cursor changes to a dagger. I'm thinking of having a health bar appear above his head as well while the mouse is hovering over him. And if you click the target, his health bar will remain permanently above him or on top of the screen till he's either dead or you're out of combat. Alright, well, that's about all I've got to show, so what am I going to be working on next? In my next devlog, I'm definitely planning to have at least some combat ready to show. There's definitely going to be a lot that I have to prepare though, as I still need to write the character stat window, add stats to the items, so they actually do something when in combat. I'll need to write a very basic modular enemy NPC script, which will contain the NPC's stats, but also determine its behavior. And on top of all that, I don't really understand A-star pathfinding very well. So if I want to actually implement proper AI, it looks like I'm going to have to do some homework. A lot of that will be fairly quick to write, but the pathfinding I expect will be a slow grind. So yeah, my next devlog will likely be a while before it comes out, but I promise it's definitely not going to be another 7+ months. So if you'd like to keep up with my weekly progress outside of YouTube, or if you're an indie game creator yourself and want to show off your own game, I've set up a Discord where indie game developers can come together, collaborate, show off their own work, or even just chat all things game design. I also have an absolute ton of tutorials prepared for new creators for many different programs, as well as plenty of game design related media to keep people motivated and entertained. So for those who are interested, you can find the link in the description. All that said, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.